Born to a family of former slaves in Morrowind, the young Argonian grew up poor, and spent most of his days on the streets begging for food, and doing any jobs he could find. But he couldn't help but think he was destined for more than just begging on the streets, but he didn't know what. Until one day a large ship came from the horizon. When the ship arrived, they were immediately recognized. They were the most wealthy and powerful traders in Morrowind. The Argonian waited patiently for the captain to come out so he could introduce himself, and when he did, the captain greeted him with a smile. After a few drinks at the local inn, the captain offered the young boy a job aboard his ship, manning the sails. Without hesitation, the Argonian agreed, and with one more drink they went to bed, and the very next morning they were off at sea. But it wasn't long before the poor Argonian realized he had made a mistake. The captain was not a kind man, and the crew was forced to live in awful conditions with little pay. Soon the Argonian got sick of being treated like this, and started planning a revolt. Within days he attacked the captain in his sleep, killing him before he woke. The rest of the crew were shocked, but also glad that their oppressive captain was no longer with them, and tossed him overboard, making the Argonian now captain of the largest ship in Morrowind. But he didn't want to be a simple merchant. He wanted more. He wanted to take everything, and he would. The crew would soon be known as the most feared pirates in Morrowind, and his name would be that of legend. It wasn't long before they caught word of the treasures located in the frozen land of Skyrim, and he decided to set sail. But the sea was angry. A massive wave destroyed the ship against some rocks, and the entire crew died. Fortunately, being an Argonian, the captain could breathe underwater, and was only knocked unconscious. He woke up in a river near Windhelm, and even though he no longer had a ship or a crew, he was still a pirate, and he was going to raid and plunder the land of Skyrim until his heart was content, which would be never. But unfortunately, his plan came to a rough patch when a group of Imperials recognized him and arrested him for piracy, and carted him off to be executed. Well guys, that's the backstory, and let's get into the equipment now. So for the weapons, you'll need a legendary scimitar, really any scimitar you have. It doesn't have to be legendary, but you're going to need a smithing it up because it is basically just a steel sword. I think it does a little bit more damage though, but it is still basically a steel sword. You were used to be a merchant, so you'll need the Amulet of Zenithar, makes prices 10% better. Some fine clothes. You'll need shoes, black shoes, and black gloves, vampire gloves. Okay, so that's the equipment you'll need, and the perks you'll need smithing, and you'll need the steel smithing perk. You'll need one-handed. These are the perks you'll need for that tree. You can see them right here. And lockpicking. All these, especially these two, because you all gonna be a pirate and you're all gonna be a treasure hunter, basically. So you're gonna want to get all the treasure you can. You also used to be a merchant again, so you'll have a maxed out speech skill with maxed out perks, and especially the fence perk, because well, you're gonna be raiding and plundering and stealing and that stuff. So yeah, and this is a modded build. You'll need 2 mods. Well, you'll only need 1, but if you want to get the shoes and the gloves easily without having to wait and look for vampires or join the Dark Brotherhood or something, or kill the Dark Brotherhood, you'll need the clothing forge crafting mod, which allows you to craft every clothing item in the game at any forge for leather and leather strips. That's all it takes for the clothing, and you'll need that to craft the clothing if you don't want to buy it or wait to find someone with it so you can loot them. And the next mod you'll need is the all racial powers and abilities mod, and that'll it'll put a chest in Helgen. No, I won't put the chest, the Imperial chest that you go in to get your equipment, the spell tomes with every racial power and ability will be in it, and you'll need the Nord battle cry to scare your enemies, because like in the backstory he was the most feared pirate, so you'll want to use that fear to your advantage in combat and just scare the enemies into submission. So now with the gameplay, you're gonna want a good house. You're gonna want to get a house. I suggest getting the one in Solitude where I'm at right now. I forget what it's called, but it's the most expensive house, so you're gonna be wanting to get a lot of gold, and that's where you're gonna want to store all your treasure. This is not a merchant. Like the backstory said, he wants it all, meaning all the furs, all the jewelry, all the good-looking weapons, and you're not gonna want to get every weapon or every armor, only the ones that look expensive. The Nordic, the steel plate, the glass, the Daedric, the ebony, that stuff. That stuff that looks expensive and looks like just the stuff that looks expensive you're gonna want to keep, and you're gonna want to store it and stash it and hoard it all in your house. And that's basically a fun way to collect things and just do that stuff. So that's the gameplay. You're gonna want to plunder and raid everything you can find. Now for factions, I don't really know what faction would be good. I wouldn't say Thieves Guild, just cause he's not really a thief, he's not really a stealthy character. He has no stealth perks or no stealth skill at all. He's really more of a warrior, so if you want, I guess, you know, the companions would be somewhat a good choice, just for his, his, warrior, just because he's mostly a warrior-based pirate, not a thief. So, I'm running out of things to say, if you didn't notice. So before this video turns to crap, I'll just, go. Goodbye. Oh, and if you liked the video or liked the backstory, be sure to like the video, comment, give your input. And if you didn't like it, tell me, you know, dislike it, whatever. And with that being said, goodbye, and